Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Thomas. Welcome back to the channel for another video here. Thanks for joining me and suffering through this with me. Hopefully you're not suffering. So today's video is going to be kind of a different one. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for quite a while, and I think it's a good application to do it here on the channel, but that's reviewing things that I kind of run into in my day-to-day life as a designer, but also as a human. So I think this applies to pretty much anyone watching the channel. It's going through, different user experiences that you have from day to day, and whether or not you may be aware of this, we all interact with user experience pretty much every day of our life. It can be pushing a button on a washer and dryer and how the buttons are laid out, the colors, the things that they are made of, the tactile feel you get from touching it. It can be a user manual, something like IKEA that you download. Are the instructions easy to read? Is there a good information architecture and the layout of all the information? Makes it easy to consume and kind of skip from step to step. Can be a lot of things. How the handle on your refrigerator is put on. I mean, user experience is not just code and pixels and things on the screen. It's also just how we experience the world as people. So I wanted to start a series on here, just like kind of a dispersed series throughout the channel of different experiences that I go through, different flows that I go through from day to day, where I'll notice something really great about it or something I didn't really like about it, maybe a combination of both. And I thought it'd be a good opportunity to share some of those with you and kind of get your feedback as well. I'd love to hear in the comments, if you are a designer, or even if you're not, things you think about these flows as well. Does it bother you? Do you like it? In today's, it's a little bothersome of a flow, but there'll be other flows just looking at positive kind of user experiences as well. So anyway, thanks again for joining me and hope you enjoy. Okay, so here we are on my barren desktop. I've stripped away everything, black background. This is gonna be how I do some of these videos, but today's video explicitly needs this because I had to basically screenshot and record the flow as I went through it. Reason being is today I'm focused on Dropbox. You can see here it's syncing both my Dropbox and my Google Drive. But I just had to go through this because I did some changes with how I have my folder set up on my desktop machine. And unfortunately, that required Dropbox to resync, which number one knock off of the Dropbox list against them is it tends to be a syncing issue with Google Drive or really any of them. But if you try to repoint it back to the folder, even if you already have the files downloaded, if you try to repoint it back to them, it still causes issues. It tries to tell you there might be duplicate files and things like that. And problem with my setup is I have close to 600,000 files, so a duplicate issue is not acceptable. If I got duplicates of everything, it would be a nightmare. I do have backups, but that's a different problem. So so it's just kind of, I tend to install Dropbox and then just let it re-download everything again. So I had to go through that just real recently with my changes, and as part of that, the Dropbox install flow, there's a couple things I just found kind of frustrating about it, found good about it, and I wanted to look at those here today. So step one here, we're greeted with this. I did a little mini recording of this just to kind of show you the animations and everything with it. I always appreciate when designers, developers go through the time to create these little animations, especially the custom ones. Kind of cool, gives a little bit of life to it. It's going to stop playing here in a second, but you get the point. Overall, though, pretty clean design. Dropbox does a pretty good job with their design, in my opinion, laying it out, clear information architecture, general good use of things like non-native inputs and things like that. But, so this is the first thing you see. Type in my password, type in my email here, hit sign in. Pretty good overall. I'm iffy on the graphics. This is kind of a trend that's been going on lately, especially with Dropbox and some of the more modern tech companies where they do this kind of old school looking design, right? I guess 80s is back in or whatever. So people are, kind of using this in some of the design stuff, and it's okay. It's not bad with the animation. It's kind of interesting. I get it. It's thrown back to kind of like a pixel design. It's okay. And then everything else on here, pretty standard. I did notice it doesn't show in this image here, but the sign in button did not have a hover state, which is, in my opinion, a pretty big no-no. That's always important to have some kind of interaction for the user to know that they are hovering over this button. So it should change color a little bit, or maybe the font changes, whatever. But in my testing, this was not working for me. I'm on a Mac. I don't know if maybe it's just something with that. I doubt it. It's probably just not there. So there's one kind of weird thing with step one here. So after you put in your information, you put in your username and password and you log in, you are presented next with this screen. Okay, again, animations, it's a lot, and this doesn't stop playing when you're actually installing it, so it would go on theoretically forever, just probably a looping GIF. It's okay. Yeah, I don't know. There's some of the treatments up here, kind of weird, splattery, looks kind of dirty. It's got kind of the 80s feel to it. Plaid, I don't even know what I'm getting off this. I get the documents are there. It's just, I don't know, kind of weird. The animations throughout this thing are just kind of weird. But the first screen you're presented with when you log in is this. Okay, I'm probably some kind of if-then statement in their code somewhere. It's like, if this dude has more than 500,000 files, then pop this message. I'm interested to see what the other ifs are, or the other case statements. If there's 1,000,000, 2,000,000, I don't know. But there's 500,000, yeah, I have a ton of files, right? So this is a new thing they started doing, and it's kind of frustrating. They hit you with this message so many times. It's like syncing this many files might take a long time. Okay, I have great internet. Sure. We recommend you sync only the folders that you need right now. Okay, I want to leave my files with you, and that's the only copy of them. And then if something goes wrong, then I have to rely on you having all of my client and work files. Like, I don't know about that. Family photos, I don't know about that. So, okay, they have this choose folders to sync button. No other interactions in the UI anywhere. This is your one option, choose folders to sync. So it's kind of like, this is what we want you to do. You need to choose which folders you want to keep, and then we'll keep the rest. There is no like cancel or never mind or I want them all. It's just choose the folders you want to sync. Okay, so next up here, step 3. When you hit that choose folders to sync, which is a weird button, also has a loader on it, which I forgot to mention. Not a big fan of that UX pattern. I'd rather put it somewhere else or put text to be more descriptive. Just don't like moving things and size changing things on a button. But anyway, you click choose folders to sync. That's my only option. Then you're presented with this screen. Your account has 855,286 files. Okay, I guess that I had more than I thought I did. If you sync more than 500,000, syncing could take a while. Big yellow message like, oh, they want me to read this. Okay, I have a lot of files, but I get it. I want to keep them locally. That's what we're deciding here, is to keep these files locally so that I have a backup of them in case something happens. I don't want to rely on Dropbox holding family photos, client files, work files, things like that, right? I've whited out here all of my information, like I'll try to do on all these, so I'm not sharing any relevant things to my day-to-day stuff, but you get the point here. These are all my files. It's telling me what to do, and I have an update button here that's grayed out. I don't know what's going on there. Everything's selected. Why is it grayed out? Or a cancel button. I don't even understand what those are doing, right? So the thing here is, if you click on these, the update button becomes available because it's saying I don't want to sync these specific files. So really trying to push you the way of syncing all of your files to Dropbox. So if you hit cancel, that's when things get a little more interesting, right? They present you with yet another message here. This message, again, continue syncing 855,286 files. Syncing will take a long time. Are you sure? Like, we've recommended that you select fewer folders. Okay, I get it. I'm a smart person. I get it. I've already chose not to do this, to sync only the files with you. So why are you asking me again? And it's like continue anyway or cancel. Like, the wording on these is just, I don't know. There's so much left to be desired here. Plus, you're also at this point 3 modals inside of modals, which I am not a big fan of the UX pattern either. You should really only have 1 level of modals, in my opinion, maybe 2, but for special circumstances. But I would rather pop this confirm somewhere else. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about here is the annoyance of them asking me the same question over and over and over. Step 5. How do you want your files stored? With Smart Sync, online-only files save hard disk space, hard drive space, so you can browse them from your desktop. Local files are downloaded and available offline. Okay, thanks for telling me that again. Here's your option that's already nicely pre-filled for you. Online only recommended. Okay, I don't really want to store them just online. I'd really rather store them locally just in case. Also online, but I'd like a local copy. I have a big hard drive, have fast internet. I'm good. And you open up that drop-down menu, here's what you get. Online only recommended, which was pre-selected, and local. I'd like local, please. So at this point, starting to feel a little bit like a young child that's being told what to do over and over. But anyway, you hit step 7 here. Did this one animated just so you could get the full effect here, right? I'm doing some hovers over these buttons to kind of show what I was talking about earlier. No hover state over next, which is strange. Really no hover state over anything. The menu you can see, or the extra button there, and the drop down are not responding. Kind of weird. I don't know if it's just something because of my computer or my setup. Doubt it. I really think that's how it works. Should always have those. But you also have your animation here still going from, I don't know, however long you've been in this, 15 minutes now, just still rolling. That animation is some point. So anyway, yeah, you've got some options here. Another kind of big flow thing that I'm not a fan of. I think you should be able to select this in the flow somewhere. They've already got this giant stepped process, so why not just let me choose where to put it from the very beginning? Instead, it defaults to here, and you have to go into these advanced settings, which is annoying, to set where you want it to go. So I don't keep mine on my main desktop. I keep them on other drives that I can back up more easily. So yeah, kind of annoying. But here again, I didn't capture a picture of this, but this was unchecked. So they were unchecking for you again. All content starts online only. So if you did not check this box, you would have went back to Smart Sync. So wow, I mean, at this point, it's just been crammed down your throat. I really don't want to do Smart Sync. I want to keep it local, right? Just kind of amazed me at this point. I'm like, how many times have they already asked me about this? I don't want to do Smart Sync. I just want my files locally. So you have to check this box. Then the next button becomes active. You choose your location, which doesn't allow you to choose right off the bat. It makes you default to this. You have to go into advanced again. So I'm getting a little annoyed at this point. So hit next, and here we go. Okay, last step here, right? Last step, step 8 of what should be pretty quick flow to decide where to put your files and how many. Well done. Dropbox is installed. Pat myself on the back. Now that you have Dropbox, get to know what it has to offer. So no done button, no option for done, get me out now, close. I mean, I guess I could come up here to the browser default, but no, just advanced settings again. Or I can click next. I did not record these flows, but there's a whole series, I think 3 or 4 other screens that come after this that just tell you about Dropbox and tell you about, and that's okay. User onboarding, it's good, it's important, but it just feels like they don't give you options out of these flows. I want to be done now. I don't want to walk through something, especially if I've installed this 100 times, which I probably have by this point in my life. I don't need to know about any of the other pieces of the software. I just want out, and they don't give you that option, which is kind of annoying. And this is where I start to lose my mind. After I went through the onboarding, clicked through 3 or 4 more screens, just click next, next, next. It was good onboarding, to be fair. You pop open this menu at the top. There's an alert on your Dropbox icon up here. Before it will start syncing, or as it's syncing, it is telling you you can free up hard drive space right here. You can click to use Smart Sync right here. I can't tell you how much this stuff annoys me. It feels like that commercial that you watch on late night TV where it repeats the phone number like 10 times, like call 877-55, call 87. It's annoying. Like, I don't want to be told this stuff over and over, especially as a professional. At this point, I know what's going on here. I don't need another warning that I have to dismiss. I hate things I have to dismiss. I'm a big anti red bubble person. Like, if there's a red bubble on my email down here like it is right now, I almost just feel like stopping this video right now and just checking what's it, because I just don't like things that I have to click. It just it feels like an unnecessary user click and an unnecessary thing to train your users to do. So this is just unneeded. It's annoying. It's unneeded. And, this I've seen pop up now multiple times, even after I dismissed it. There is no dismiss always, or never friggin' ask me again. If I check it right now, which I'm not going to because it has my folders in there, it would probably still be asking me this. So hopefully that ends once my folders are done syncing. If it doesn't, I may have another follow-up rant on this. But, as a user experience designer, this type of stuff, it's almost like an anti-pattern. It's like a dark pattern trying to get your users to use their service, and I don't know why they're trying to drive it so hard. It feels like it's just unnecessary. I don't want to be forced to use this, and I don't like answering questions 10 to 15 times. Just not a big fan of that. And then after you are done with that, there's one more pop-up that pops up as soon as you're screen sharing or anything like that, and it asks you, okay, this is okay, I get it. This is a feature that they offer where you can save your screenshots to Dropbox, which is nice, but I just, again, don't like clicking things over and over and over. I almost wish there was a way just to turn off the user experience portion of this, the flow, so you could just say, I don't want the onboarding, I don't want any of this stuff, just give me the quickest path to installing something. I'm a professional, I've done it before. And there's nothing like that, so kind of frustrating. So done, finally done with that flow. Again, it just seemed like a lot. 8 steps here, really it was a lot more than that. When you go through all the sub steps and different options and things like that that you can choose from, advanced settings, all those things, there's a lot of steps in there. And really for what should be maybe a 2-3 step flow, I need to know where to put my files, what files to put there, done. Maybe you present those additional smart sync options or things like that once, or maybe you present them in different areas, like in a settings panel or something, like once the app is installed and ready to go. Just wasn't a big fan of how long this flow was, but overall, it's kind of a negative flow with this. There were still plenty of positive things about it, though. I do like the color that they use. I like the layout that they use. They have very clear information architecture, so a lot of positive things to say about it as well. Here you got, good uses of blue, lights and darks, lighter blue here. This is actually an artifact from me whiting stuff out, but overall, I like this button too, the way it's presented. Not sure I would have added the gray line around it. May have used an offsetting color here, like a green or something, to really pop it out of the UI to draw the user's attention. Good information architecture, good layout, good tab use. That's kind of a new modern tab style. They're not going with the default input, which is nice. I'm not a big fan of the illustrations just in general. Apologies to the designer if they ever happen to be watching this show or this channel. I get what they're trying to do, just not a big fan of the playful art. It feels like this is a very professional, for the most part, business application. So their overall design with some of their illustrations and things, I think it could just be a different tactic there. So, but overall, yeah, I wanted to give this a call out for some good stuff about this as well. All right, that's all I got for today. I wanted to share that one with you because it was really fresh on my mind, something that I just went through. Again, these videos may not be as applicable to someone that's not a UXer or designer or aspiring to be, but still interesting because I think that you can apply a lot of this to your day-to-day life, especially if you pay attention to the small details as they're using things, the things that you have frustrations with. A lot of the times it's probably because the user experience is just bad or is just lacking. So the smallest attention to those little details in building a flow as a designer or architecting a layout or something, it matters. It really makes a big difference. So just know that when you experience a good flow or you have a good user experience, it probably had a lot of thought and a lot of sticky notes behind it and a lot of design that went behind that to make that flow feel good and work good for you. So hope you enjoyed the content today. If you did like it, there will be more of this. Again, I'm going to plan this series out for a few here in advance, hopefully get one in another couple weeks. But like the channel, subscribe if you enjoyed and you got some value out of this. I do appreciate those. And until next week, we will see you then.